Hi, I'm Gary and welcome to Jargon Free Help. Well, this week I got an email from Derek who's a bit concerned about the security on his iPad. Now, it's a good thing that he actually does get a bit concerned about that, but really, so far, you've got nothing to worry about. There is no antivirus for things like the iPad, iPhone and iPod Touch. Part of that is due to the fact that the apps have to come through the App Store, which is monitored by Apple. So they actually make sure that the apps are actually safe. So you don't need to worry about that. Well, not for now anyway. But a good idea is actually to make sure that you've actually got antivirus installed on your computers. That way, because that's one of the sources where something could end up on a mobile device, in that it gets onto your computer and then it's targeting the mobile devices. So mobile devices being Androids, iPads, iPhones, all that kind of stuff that you then connect. So make sure your antivirus is up to date, and there's plenty out there. As I've said, for the PC, there's AVG, it's free, and for the Windows system, it's very good. And if you're using it on the iMac, or any of the Macs actually, then iAntivirus is very good for that too. But there is other security as well, like setting a passcode lock, and I'm going to show that to you now. But Derek also did mention that his background has changed, and I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So let's just take a quick look at that. When you now switch it on, you get this home screen here, which I'm not particularly keen on. I'm going to slide to unlock, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that background first. So I'm going to choose Settings. I'm going to go to Brightness and Wallpaper. You'll see both of them are here. This is also where I can adjust the brightness, which I've got on maximum for this. If I tap here, I can now choose from any one of my photos that I've got in any of my libraries, or I can go into the wallpaper and choose one that I like. Now, the home screen and the background can be two separate pictures. So this was the one that I had before, which is the one that came with it. So that's the lock screen, which actually that's what I call the home screen, but anyway, that's the lock screen. That's what you see when you switch it on. The home screen is your background. So I can set the lock screen if I like. That's now set, and I could choose to have a different one as my home screen as my background, or if I want the same for both, I just choose set both. And now if I go back, that's my background, and also if I switch it off and switch it back on again, you'll see it's also my lock screen there. So that's basically how I can set that. The other thing is, Derek mentioned security. I know he was talking about antiviruses and that, but it's not a bad idea on your phones, on your iPads, or any devices you've got to add a little bit of security there. I'm going to set a passcode lock. So basically what I do is I go into my settings, choose General. You'll see it's got passcode lock here. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to turn it on. And what I have to do is put in a 4-digit thing here. So I'm just going to pick, I'm just not going to put in one that I would really use. So I put that in. I can change it. Here it says simple passcode on. If I change that to off, let me just pop that in, and you'll see that now, rather than having something as simple as numbers, I can now put in a more complicated passcode, which I'm going to do. That's not a real passcode for anything that I use. Then, if I now switch off and switch back on, slide to unlock, I've got to put in a passcode. Okay, so that's all I need to do there. And it lets me in after I press return. Just so you can see what the simple one looks like. If I go to passcode lock, see how you have to do everything. Okay, every time you want to do that. I'm going to change that simple passcode on. Going to enter the old one. This is the more common one to do, is the simple passcode, and I'm just going to put in, make your passcodes more secure than this. You want to do this one possibly to stop people tampering with it, but also if you lose it, to stop people getting hold of it. So if I now switch it back on, you'll see I've got to put a passcode in. Okay, so that's how you do the passcode locking. So that is setting your home screen, background, and also security passcode lock on your iPad, iPhone and iPod Touch. He also mentioned about the multitasking and also the folders. So I'm just going to quickly show you that now on the iPad because it's new to the iPad, it's been on the other devices for a while. The folders allow you to put similar groups together, or any groups that you see fit to put together. So I'm just going to actually find something. You'll see I've got one here for news already, and I tap on it and you'll see it's got a whole load of icons already in there, all news related. Tap again to come out of that. So I'm just actually going to find two here that are actually related, and I've got Band here and Shazam, and they're both music related. They don't have to be related, but it's always a good idea. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold down that icon there, and you'll see they all start wobbling. If I want to stop the wobbling, in case I've done that by accident, I just have to press this home button here and it turns it off. This may have happened to you, and it happens on the iPhone as well. So if I do that again, there we go. You can delete them by clicking on the cross there. You can also just drag them, move them around. Okay, but if I take that and drop that on top of Shazam, it makes a folder. By default, it's recognized they're both the music category, and I could change that if I want, or I could keep it. To change it, I simply tap in there and type in what I want. If I want to keep it, I just tap outside of it, and I can then keep adding to that. So I could, this one's not a music one, but I could drop it in there, and it's in there now. If I want to take it out of there, I just simply open it and drop it here. I could then go through and do that for a whole load of others, or I'm going to go back and you'll see I've now got my music one, tap on it and it expands to show it. So the other thing Derek mentioned was about the multitasking and how does that work. And multitasking basically is when you can have more than one thing running at a time. So this is really good for Skype. You could have Skype running in the background ready to receive a call, and you could be carrying on with other things. And also it does allow you to go back to where you were before. Now the thing about that is, before, if I went back to the home screen, it would switch something like Skype off. So if I wanted to open something else up, such as my videos, and I then wanted something else, and I wanted to not lose the place that I was at, what I do is, and this applies to anything, is you simply double click. And when you double click, you get this bar coming up down the bottom, and I could go to one that's called Hidden Sky. Okay, and that's an augmented reality one you would have seen on another podcast I did. Double click again, it's gone onto the side here because this is one designed for the iPhone. And you can see a whole load that I've already got open are over here. So if I went to Twitter, it would come up here too. So it's just loading. But just to show you something else, it used to be that on the side here you had a switch, and that switch was used for stopping the iPad from auto-rotating. Now what you have to do, because that's now mute, is you come to here. I've locked it in the landscape orientation. If I tap on that, it's now unlocked, and it came up there saying it was unlocked. And that way, if I move it that way, it goes that way, and if I go that way, it moves that way. So what I can do now is tap on that, and it's now locked. And now if I move it, it doesn't move. Okay, so that's how you do that now. Tap here just to go back. So basically, if you want to set your orientation, you have to be in the orientation you want. You go one back that way, and you can switch it on and off like this. So if you had it in portrait, that would lock it like that. So it's a quick rundown of some of the new features that they've added to the update. You do that update at your own risk, I do have to say that. So far, it seems to be working a lot better for me. I have to say that on my iPhone 3GS, the calendars are now working much better. They were really not very good at all before that. So that's basically a rundown of changing some of the settings on your iPad, iPhone and iPod Touch, how to use the multitasking, and also how to actually do things like set the background screen and that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.